Welcome back, Park Art friends. It's Miss Lauren, and today our project is going to get a little inspiration from our neighborhood, and we are going to focus on the word architecture. The definition of architecture is the artistic design and the structure of buildings. Today we're going to focus on the shapes that we see in the architecture all around us. The materials that you need for today's project are some white paper, crayons or markers, a glue stick, scissors, and some different color paper. So after you've collected all of your materials, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to either go outside or take a peek out your window, and you're going to observe what shapes do you see in the different buildings all up and down your street. Keep track of the different shapes that you see. If you want to write them down on a piece of paper so you don't forget, do that. Here are examples of some of the many shapes that you might see in the buildings and the architecture around you. You might notice some three-dimensional shapes as well. Here are some examples. Depending on where you live, you'll see different shapes around you. For example, maybe you live in an apartment building. What shapes do you see here? I see a square above the doorways and a really tall rectangle to the right. If you go to a different part of the city, you might see different shapes. For example, here, around these really tall buildings, I see some others. What do you see here? There's a triangle on that bridge and a circle at the top of the lamppost. Do you see any other shapes in this picture? All right, so after you've done some great observing and you've kept track of the different shapes that you saw throughout your neighborhood, you want to think to yourself, was there a certain building that you liked the most that perhaps you want to represent in your art project today? Or was there a whole group of buildings that you really liked? So think about that. Do you want to show just one building or many buildings? I think I'm going to show a few. For example, this artist used rectangles, squares, and triangles to depict one building on their street. While this artist used lots of rectangles, a big orange circle, some smaller triangles, and even a half circle to show us many buildings in their city. So I've decided to represent the architecture of some apartment buildings around where I live. I've cut out some squares, some small rectangles that I'm going to use for stairs, and for some of the windows that I see, I want to have the same shape, and I want multiple of the same shape. So in order to do that, I can fold a piece of paper, fold it again, and even fold it again. This way, when I cut out the rectangle for a window, I'm going to end up with a bunch of the same exact size and shape, rather than having to cut the same shape over and over again. Alright, so here's a bunch of rectangles that I can use for windows. And I'm going to do that with a bunch of different colors too. So as you can see, I've now cut out lots of different shapes for my architecture, and our next step will be to think about what background we want it on. So I want my architecture to be in front of a nighttime sky. You could choose to have a daytime sky as well. It's totally up to you. So what I'll do is I will push my shapes to the side and think about my background. Now I've chosen 3 different colors to represent my nighttime sky. It'll mostly be black, but then I'll shade in some purple and blue as well. So think about what you want your background to be and what colors would help to represent your background. It doesn't have to be realistic. You could get creative and do some imaginary scenes as well. So that was a great time to pause the video, and work on your background. All right, now it is time to assemble our architecture together. We have our background done, we have all of our shapes cut out. I even put a picture of one of the buildings that's inspiring my artwork today. So start with whatever pieces of architecture you want as the background, and you'll end up building up. Don't glue anything down. Definitely have your glue stick handy, but lay things out first, right? It's like I don't really want that right there, right? So I can move things around, layer things up. Don't glue down until you're really happy with the way that you have it. So now's a great time to pause your video, play around with your different pieces of architecture, different pieces that you've cut out for your architecture, and when you're really happy with the way that it's laid out, then you can glue it. Have fun! When you feel that you're done, you can go around with your glue stick and touch up any edges that might need to be flattened down. Or maybe you like the three-dimensional look. It's totally up to you. And since I chose to make my cityscape, my architecture, be in a nighttime sky, I am also going to add the moon and some stars throughout. I'm feeling pretty good about the architecture that I've represented here using my different shapes. I hope you're feeling great about yours as well. Nice job. And don't forget to put the cap back on your glue stick. I almost forgot. You want to make sure that that's still sticky for the next time that you need to use it. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.